There are 3 things a woman should never let a man see. Not because she's hiding out of fear, but because mystery is power. The world tells women to be open, transparent, vulnerable, to lay every card on the table in the name of honesty. But the truth is, not everyone deserves full access to you. Some things are meant to stay behind closed doors, not as secrets but as safeguards. Because once a woman gives everything away too soon, she loses the very thing that makes her unforgettable, her depth. You see, the strongest women don't shout their worth. They embody it. They don't announce what they're doing next. They move in silence. They don't reveal their pain to everyone who asks if they're okay. They learn to stand tall even when their knees are shaking. A woman who knows what to keep private doesn't just protect her peace. She commands respect. There's something magnetic about her presence. She walks into a room and no one quite knows what she's thinking, what she's feeling, or what she's planning. And that's exactly what keeps people drawn to her. Because when a woman becomes predictable, she becomes easy to read. And when she's easy to read, she's easy to play. The moment you expose every part of yourself, you give others the blueprint to manipulate, control, or misunderstand you. But when you maintain that air of quiet strength, when people can feel your confidence, but never fully grasp its depth, you shift from being an open book to a masterpiece that can only be interpreted, never copied. Let's be clear. Hiding something doesn't mean lying. It means preserving your energy for those who've earned it. It means understanding that your emotional world, your ambitions, and your vulnerabilities are treasures, and not everyone knows how to hold treasure without breaking it. There's wisdom in discretion. There's elegance in restraint. And there's unmatched power in mystery. Most people believe that love, connection, or trust means full exposure. But the truth is, authenticity doesn't mean overexposure. You can be real without being revealed. You can love deeply and still have boundaries. You can give your heart but never lose your self-respect. Because the moment you teach people that every part of you is available on demand, you also teach them that your energy is free. And it's not. It's sacred. So let's talk about the 3 things every woman must keep hidden. Not because she's trying to play games, but because she understands how to protect her peace, her power, and her purpose. These aren't secrets, they're forms of self-respect. The kind that makes a woman unforgettable. The kind that separates the one who gets drained from the one who gets admired. Because the truth is, mystery doesn't make you distant. It makes you divine. Pain has a way of teaching you who you are, but it also exposes who others are. When a woman bleeds emotionally in front of the wrong person, she's not healing, she's handing over her power. Not everyone who sees your pain wants to help you. Some want to study it, understand it, and later use it to control you. That's why a woman must learn the art of protecting her emotions, not because she's cold, but because she's wise. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's sacred energy that must be shared with discernment, not desperation. There's a quiet kind of strength in a woman who feels everything deeply, but doesn't let the world see her crumble. She doesn't mask her emotions out of pride. She manages them with dignity. She cries when no one's watching, then wipes her tears and walks out with her head held high, because she knows that her pain is not for public consumption. It's her private lesson, her transformation, her becoming. She doesn't need validation for her suffering. She needs stillness to process it. That's how true healing begins. Too many women are conditioned to believe that being open means being fully exposed. They think vulnerability equals transparency, when in reality it's about trust. Vulnerability is not about telling everyone your story. It's about knowing who has earned the right to hear it. When you give your emotional truths to people who lack emotional maturity, they mishandle them. They turn your confessions into gossip. They turn your pain into entertainment. And when that happens, something inside you hardens, you start to lose faith and connection. But the truth is, the problem was never vulnerability itself. It was who you trusted with it. The woman who knows when to speak and when to stay silent becomes untouchable, because she no longer allows anyone to use her softness against her. She learns to read people to see who's capable of holding her pain with empathy and who's only curious about it. She becomes selective with her openness. That's not manipulation, that's emotional intelligence. She doesn't need to tell her story to everyone because she no longer seeks validation in understanding. She understands herself. She sits with her feelings until they no longer control her. The world often glorifies the image of the strong woman as someone who never breaks. But true strength is not about pretending you're fine. It's about allowing yourself to feel everything without letting it destroy your grace. You can hurt deeply and still move with poise. You can experience heartbreak and still walk with class. Because composure is not suppression, it's mastery. It's looking at your wounds and saying, I see you, I'll heal you, but I will not let you define me. Some men are attracted to your light, but others are attracted to your wounds. They sense your softness, your kindness, your nurturing heart, and they exploit it. They'll listen to your pain, not to comfort you, but to learn how to manipulate it. The woman who overshares too soon gives them the roadmap to her emotions. She thinks being open will bring connection, but all it brings is vulnerability without protection. The key is balance, to be emotionally available but spiritually guarded. A man should earn the right to see your depths, not be given them as proof of affection. When a woman learns to sit with her pain instead of broadcasting it, something beautiful happens. Her energy changes. Her silence becomes strength. She becomes mysterious, not because she's hiding, but because she's healing. People start to wonder how she maintains her composure. Despite everything she's gone through, they don't see the nights she cried herself to sleep, the mornings she forced herself out of bed, or the inner battles she fought alone. They just see the strength that came after. That's the power of private healing. No one witnesses your breaking point, only your breakthrough. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel lost. But it's not okay to give everyone front row seats to your pain. Guard your healing process the way you guard your home. Not everyone deserves to come inside. Because the moment you invite the wrong energy into your emotional space, they rearrange things that weren't theirs to touch. Protect your peace like it's your most valuable possession. Because it is. And sometimes that means pretending to be okay until you truly are, not for others, but for yourself. There will be moments when your silence will feel heavy, when you'll want to reach out, explain, or vent. But remember, not everyone is capable of holding your emotions with care. Some people will invalidate your pain, telling you to move on or get over it. Others will listen, but not truly hear you. The rare ones, though, the ones who listen without judgment, who hold space without trying to fix you. Those are the ones you can trust. But until you find them, let your journal, your prayers, your art, or your solitude be your confidant. A woman who hides her pain from those who haven't earned the right to witness it is not guarded. She's self-aware. She's protecting her energy, not suppressing her emotions. She's choosing to transform in private, not perform in public. That kind of discipline is rare. It's what separates the woman who breaks under pressure from the one who rebuilds herself in silence and walks back into the world glowing from within. When people see her again, they'll sense the change. They'll feel her peace. They won't know what she went through. They'll only see the strength that remains. And that's exactly how it should be. Because your pain isn't meant to be your identity. It's meant to be your evolution. You don't owe anyone a front row seat to your suffering. What they deserve to see is the masterpiece that was born from it. A woman who hides her pain isn't weak. She's wise. She doesn't wear her wounds as decoration. She wears her growth as quiet confidence. And that mystery, that strength, that calm after the storm, that's what makes her unforgettable. Because the world may never know what she's endured, but they'll always feel the power of the woman who walked through fire and chose to smile anyway. There is a certain kind of woman who moves quietly, but when she arrives, the entire atmosphere shifts. You can't quite predict her, and that's exactly why you respect her. She doesn't announce what she's building, she doesn't broadcast her dreams, and she doesn't explain her plans. She simply executes. Her power doesn't come from noise. It comes from discipline and mystery. Because she knows that the moment you reveal too much of your next move, you give others the chance to interfere with it. The strongest women understand that privacy is not secrecy, it's strategy. In a world obsessed with attention, silence has become a superpower. Everyone wants to be seen, to prove they're doing something, to show progress before it even takes shape. But what they don't realize is that energy flows where attention goes. The more you speak of your plans, the more you invite distraction, doubt, and external energy that can drain your momentum. People will question you, discourage you, or worse, try to compete with you. Some will copy your ideas before you've even finished shaping them. That's why the wise woman moves quietly, because her focus is too sacred to share. There's a calm authority in a woman who doesn't need to explain herself. She doesn't chase validation. She doesn't announce, "I'm changing." She just changes. And when she reappears, people are left stunned, wondering how she managed to elevate so gracefully. That's the magic of keeping your next move hidden. When you build in silence, there's no pressure, no noise, no need to prove anything. You're free to fail privately, learn quietly, and evolve authentically. No one sees the trial and error. They only see the transformation. Think about the times you've shared a big dream too early, how quickly the excitement faded once others started doubting you. Their skepticism plants seeds of hesitation in your mind. They'll project their fears onto you, saying things like, "Are you sure that'll work? Well, that seems risky." But they're not questioning your ability, they're exposing their limitations. When you tell small-minded people big dreams, they'll always try to shrink them to fit their comfort zone. That's why silence is protection. Your vision doesn't need to be understood, it needs to be nurtured. There's power in surprise. There's grace in restraint. A woman who moves in silence becomes unpredictable, not because she's hiding, but because she's mastering control. She doesn't let others know what's next because she's too busy becoming it, while everyone else is talking about what they're going to do. She's already doing it. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. When she finally unveils her progress, it's not up for discussion, it's undeniable. Some people believe that transparency builds trust, and in relationships, yes, it often does. But when it comes to your personal evolution, transparency can be a trap. You don't owe anyone a roadmap to your growth. People can't sabotage what they don't know. They can't ruin what they can't reach. By keeping your next move to yourself, you preserve your power. You give yourself space to grow without interference, to make mistakes without judgment, to pivot without permission. Even in love, mystery maintains attraction. A man should never feel like he's decoded you entirely. When he knows your every thought, every plan, every emotion, curiosity dies. And with it, respect often fades. But when he senses that you have your own world, your own goals, your own inner life that doesn't revolve around him, he stays intrigued. He respects the woman who doesn't depend on him for direction, because she already has her own. Independence is alluring. Unpredictability is magnetic. Moving in silence isn't about being cold or secretive. It's about being intentional. You don't announce your healing. You just stop responding to what once hurt you. You don't post every achievement. You quietly keep stacking them. You don't tell everyone what you're working on. You let the results speak. Your silence becomes your armor, your privacy, your power. The less people know about your process, the more they'll respect your progress. The world has a strange habit of misunderstanding ambitious women. They'll call you distant when you're focused, selfish when you're prioritizing yourself, arrogant when you stop explaining yourself. But that's the price of elevation. Not everyone can understand what they can't access. You can't expect people who are comfortable with average to support your excellence. That's why your next move must remain your own. Protect it until it's strong enough to stand on its own. There's a peace that comes with moving quietly. You stop seeking permission. You stop needing applause. You start operating from alignment, not validation. You wake up knowing who you are and what you're building, and that's enough. Every step you take in silence builds your confidence, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your intuition. You stop chasing outcomes and start embodying them. And when the world finally sees what you've been working on, it won't be a surprise, it'll be a revelation. You don't owe anyone the behind the scenes of your becoming. People aren't entitled to your process, only to the product of your persistence. Let them wonder, let them question, let them speculate while they're trying to figure out what you're up to. You'll already be 10 steps ahead. That's how a woman moves when she understands her worth. Quietly, strategically, and with purpose. So the next time you're tempted to announce your plans, pause. Let the silence speak for you. Let your actions echo louder than your words. Because mystery doesn't make you distant. It makes you powerful. And when you finally reveal what you've been building, it will speak for itself. You won't need to convince anyone of your value. They'll see it. You won't need to explain your growth. They'll feel it. A woman who hides her next move is not playing games. She's playing wisely. She's building, evolving, and protecting her future from those who don't have the capacity to support it. She's not afraid to be misunderstood in the moment because she knows clarity will come later through her results. Her silence is not emptiness, it's preparation. It's not absence, it's alignment. And when she finally steps forward, she doesn't need to say, "I told you so." Her success will whisper it for her. A woman who knows her worth never has to announce her standards. She lives them. The way she walks, the way she speaks, the way she carries herself already tells the world what she accepts and what she never will. Her energy is her boundary. She doesn't beg to be treated right. She expects it. She doesn't chase validation from anyone. She radiates it from within. But here's the truth. Most women forget. The moment you start explaining your worth, you've already lowered it. You don't need to tell a man how to treat you. You show him through what you tolerate, what you entertain, and what you walk away from. The most powerful women move with quiet confidence. They never negotiate their value. They understand that a man rises to meet their energy, or he fades trying. You don't tell him, "I need consistency." You show him that inconsistency gets no access. You don't plead for respect. You carry yourself in a way that makes disrespect uncomfortable. You don't have to demand effort. You simply make it clear through your actions that half-hearted energy doesn't reach you. Your standards should never be a speech. They should be a filter. When you reveal your standards too soon, you teach people how to perform. You give them a checklist of what to say, what to do, and how to act. Not because they're genuine, but because they're trying to win you. And when they finally do, the mask comes off. The performance fades. You find yourself wondering what changed. But the truth is, nothing did. They were just acting to meet your expectations instead of evolving to meet your energy. That's why your standards should be felt, not explained. A woman with standards doesn't need to test a man. Her presence is the test. The right one will sense it. He'll feel it in the way you value your time, in how you carry conversations, in your refusal to chase or settle. He'll recognize that you are not impressed by empty words or shallow gestures. He'll either rise to meet that energy or quietly step back. And that's exactly how it should be. Your standards will naturally eliminate anyone who isn't meant for you. You see, a woman who constantly explains her worth is trying to convince someone who's already shown they don't value it. But when you stop explaining, when you simply act from your standard, something shifts. You stop attracting people who drain you and start drawing in people who match you. Because your energy speaks before you ever do. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. If you accept crumbs, people will stop offering meals. If you allow disrespect, people will stop giving you respect. The moment you stop settling, you start teaching people how to approach you. There's a certain grace that comes from quiet confidence. You don't argue. You don't explain. You don't defend your standards to people who aren't capable of meeting them. You simply disengage. You let silence and distance do the talking. That kind of restraint is rare. It's what makes a woman unforgettable. Because when you carry yourself like a prize, you don't chase anyone. They chase understanding. They want to know what makes you different, what gives you that calm assurance, what makes you so sure of what you deserve. And the truth is, It's not arrogance. It's self-respect. You've seen women who try to earn love by being overly accommodating, overly available, overly understanding. They think lowering their standards will make them easier to love. But love built on self-betrayal never lasts. Because when you teach someone that you'll stay no matter how they treat you, they stop trying. The woman who lowers her standards to be chosen eventually realizes she lost herself in the process. But the woman who holds her standards even when it means being alone becomes magnetic, because confidence is the most attractive thing a woman can wear. A high-value woman doesn't fear solitude. She knows that peace is better than pretending. She doesn't need a relationship to validate her worth. She's already validated by how she lives. Her presence commands effort, not because she demands it, but because her energy requires it. A man who values her will naturally rise to meet her, not out of pressure, but out of admiration. He'll want to earn her attention, not because she's playing hard to get, but because her standards make him want to be better. Your standards are not walls. They're doors with locks, and not everyone has the key. The ones who are meant to stay will learn the code through consistency, respect, and emotional intelligence. The rest will fall away naturally. You don't need to chase. You don't need to convince. You simply need to be. Because when you embody your standards fully, you stop needing to prove anything. You become the standard itself, the mirror that reflects how others should treat you. When a man meets a woman with unshakable standards, he feels it. It's not about what she says. It's about how she moves. She doesn't chase validation. She moves like she already has it. She doesn't compete. She collaborates. She doesn't beg. She chooses. Her calmness unnerves people who rely on control, because you can't manipulate someone who doesn't fear losing you. And that's the power of a woman who knows her value. She's not afraid of walking away. Her silence says, if you can't rise, you don't belong here. A woman's standards are not just about relationships. They reflect every part of her life, how she works, how she speaks, how she treats herself. She expects excellence not from ego, but from integrity. She doesn't want perfection. She wants alignment. She understands that real love isn't about finding someone to complete her, but someone who complements her. Someone who doesn't see her standards as a threat, but as inspiration to become better. You don't have to tell anyone what your standards are. They'll see it in how you live, how you speak, how you love yourself. They'll notice that your peace can't be bought, your attention can't be begged for, and your energy can't be manipulated. That kind of woman intimidates those who aren't ready to grow, but she inspires those who are, because she reminds everyone around her that when a woman truly knows her worth, she stops auditioning for roles she was never meant to play. A woman who hides her standards doesn't do it to play games. She does it to preserve authenticity. She doesn't want a man to act right because she told him to. She wants him to act right because that's who he truly is. She doesn't want performance. She wants alignment, and only those who rise to meet her energy will stay. The rest will fade, quietly as they should. Because when your standards are rooted in self-respect, they don't scare the right man. They guide him straight to you. Fear lives in every woman. It whispers through her doubts, her overthinking, her need for reassurance. It shows up when she's about to take a risk, when she's scared to lose love, when she's afraid of being misunderstood. But the difference between a woman who is controlled by fear and one who commands it is composure. Because true power, true femininity doesn't come from being loud or reactive. It comes from being centered. A woman who learns to master her emotions becomes unshakable. She may feel fear, but she never lets it dictate her tone, her choices, or her presence. She doesn't let fear speak louder than her faith in herself. You can always sense the difference between a woman who's calm and a woman who's frantic. The frantic one chases clarity, closure, and constant reassurance, because her mind is louder than her peace. The calm one, however, trusts timing, trusts herself, and moves with quiet certainty. She doesn't rush conversations or beg for answers. She doesn't explode when she's hurt or panic when things don't go her way. Her calmness isn't because she doesn't care. It's because she knows her emotions no longer control her. That level of restraint isn't weakness. It's discipline. It's what makes her magnetic, mysterious, and deeply respected. In a world that feeds on chaos, calm is rebellion. When a woman can remain composed, even when everything around her is shaking, she becomes the anchor everyone looks to. People may underestimate her softness, but they quickly realize that beneath it lies steel. Because she's not driven by fear, she's driven by understanding. She doesn't need to react. She observes, analyzes, and decides from a place of peace. That's real power, not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that dominates self. Fear will always try to disguise itself as logic. It will tell you, don't speak up, don't dream too big, don't trust again. It will make you shrink, stay silent, or settle. But the woman who hides her fear doesn't pretend it doesn't exist. She simply refuses to let it lead. She acknowledges it privately, faces it internally, and then walks into the world with unwavering poise. Her calmness confuses people. They wonder why she isn't falling apart when she has every reason to. But that's what happens when you learn to manage your emotions instead of letting them manage you. There is a quiet grace in not reacting to everything, in not giving anger, panic, or insecurity the satisfaction of controlling your mood. When a woman can master that, when she can remain still while others are losing control, she becomes unforgettable because she represents stability in a world that thrives on instability. She's not playing the game of emotional chaos. She's moving with purpose. She knows that her reaction gives power to whatever she focuses on, so she chooses peace. Too often, women are told that being emotional makes them weak. That's a lie. Emotion is power. Sensitivity is a gift. But unregulated emotion, that's chaos. The woman who has emotional discipline doesn't repress her feelings. She regulates them. She knows when to cry and when to rise. She knows when to walk away and when to stay still. She understands that composure is a language of strength, one that doesn't need shouting to be heard. Her silence has weight. Her calmness commands attention, and her stillness speaks louder than any outburst ever could. In relationships, fear often shows up as control, trying to predict, to cling, to demand reassurance. But a confident woman doesn't chase security through control. She creates it through trust and self-awareness. She understands that fear-based love isn't love at all. It's attachment. So she hides her fear not to deceive, but to protect the foundation of her connection. She doesn't burden her partner with her insecurities. She takes them to her mirror and asks herself, what is this trying to teach me? That's emotional maturity, the ability to self-soothe instead of self-destruct. A woman's calm presence is like gravity. It draws people in, not because she's passive, but because she's stable. Her energy says, I don't chase, I attract. When she speaks, people listen. When she pauses, people feel her power. She doesn't need to raise her voice or prove her point. Her energy does that for her. And even in moments of chaos, when her heart is racing and her mind is unsure, she breathes. She centers herself. She reminds her fear that she's in control, not the other way around. There's a reason why composure is so rare. It takes mastery. It takes self-awareness, patience, and deep emotional intelligence. It's choosing not to send that text in anger. It's deciding not to match someone's disrespect. It's walking away from situations that provoke chaos because your peace is too precious to be put on the line. It's knowing that the loudest person in the room often has the least control, and that stillness isn't submission, it's sovereignty. Fear loves to test women who lead with softness. It whispers that being calm means being weak, that being gentle means being overlooked. But the truth is, femininity, at its highest form, commands respect through calm power. It's not about dominance, it's about presence. When a woman learns to hold her ground with serenity, she becomes the kind of woman no one can intimidate. Her peace becomes her boundary. Her silence becomes her statement. Her composure becomes her weapon. People will test you to see what triggers you, to see how easily they can shake your balance. The moment you react emotionally, they know where to aim next time. But when you stop giving them that control, when you respond with composure instead of reaction, you disarm them completely. They don't know how to engage with a woman they can't provoke. That's when you realize calm isn't passive, it's power under control. A woman who hides her fear is not pretending she's fearless. She's practicing emotional leadership. She's teaching herself that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Her heart may be trembling, but her hands are steady. Her mind may be uncertain, but her voice stays calm. And that's what makes her powerful. Because no one can truly defeat a woman who refuses to let fear decide how she shows up. When you reach that level of peace, you stop being reactive and you start being intentional. You stop living from wounds and you start living from wisdom. You no longer let fear make your choices. You let faith and inner knowing guide. And when you walk through life with that kind of calm confidence, people will feel it. They'll feel safe around you, drawn to you, inspired by you, even if they can't explain why. Because true femininity doesn't shout, it doesn't chase, it doesn't panic. It simply is. It holds space, it radiates peace, and it commands respect without ever asking for it. Every powerful woman has something that fuels her, a fire that keeps her going when everything else around her fades. It might be faith, purpose, love, heartbreak, pain, or ambition. It might be something no one else will ever understand. But here's the truth. Not everyone should. Because what fuels you is sacred, and the more you reveal it, the easier it becomes for people to drain it. Some will try to copy it, some will mock it, and some will try to destroy it simply because they don't have it themselves. A woman must learn to protect her source, not out of secrecy, but out of wisdom. What gives you strength is personal. What keeps you grounded belongs to you alone. There's a mystery in women who glow from within. People can sense there's something deeper about them, a calm, a certainty, a light that doesn't flicker even when life gets hard. They want to know the secret. They'll ask how she stays so composed, how she keeps her peace, how she continues to rise after being knocked down. But she never tells them. Not because she's selfish, but because she understands that her source isn't for everyone. It's not something you can hand over. It's something you have to protect. Because once too many hands touch it, it loses its purity. When a woman openly shares everything that drives her, her goals, her rituals, her emotional anchors, she unknowingly opens herself to interference. People begin to project their fears and insecurities onto her. They question her methods, doubt her intentions, or quietly resent her for being so centered. Energy is real. The wrong people can drain your motivation simply by being close to it. That's why some things are meant to stay private. Not every part of your journey deserves an audience. Some moments are meant to be between you and your creator, you and your soul, you and your inner strength. The most magnetic women are the ones who move with quiet conviction. They don't announce where their power comes from, they just embody it. You can't quite figure them out. You can feel their strength, but you can't trace its source. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Because when people can't read you completely, they can't control you. They can't use your vulnerabilities against you, and they can't replicate what they don't understand. A woman's mystery is part of her protection. It keeps her energy sacred, her focus intact, and her strength untouchable. Your source is your power station, where your confidence, discipline, and motivation are generated. For some, it's spiritual. For others, it's emotional or creative. But regardless of what it is, it's fragile when exposed. When you talk too much about what fuels you, you allow other people's opinions to start shaping it. They plant doubt, they challenge your beliefs, they question your drive, and slowly what once empowered you begins to feel heavy. That's why you have to keep that inner world guarded. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace or your passion. You just owe yourself the consistency to protect it. Think about the woman who wakes up early, meditates, reads, prays, and moves through her day with intention. People see her discipline, but rarely understand what fuels it. And that's exactly how it should be. Her source might be a painful past she refuses to repeat. It might be the dream of a better future she's building for herself. It might be faith so personal that putting it into words would only diminish its meaning. She doesn't explain it because she doesn't need validation, she just lives it. When you reveal too much of your internal world, people start to form opinions about something they were never meant to understand. They'll project their skepticism, their laziness, or their disbelief onto your drive. Suddenly, what used to be sacred feels exposed. That's why wise women retreat. They disappear from the noise, not because they're hiding, but because they're recharging. Every woman needs that space, the quiet hours where she reconnects with herself, rebalances her energy, and reminds herself why she started. That time alone isn't loneliness. It's alignment. It's the moment where she returns to her source to refill her spirit. Protecting your source also means setting boundaries. You don't let just anyone into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves to know how you think, what you believe, or what gives you peace. Some people want access, not connection. They want to know your process, so they can mimic it, not appreciate it. But your source isn't something that can be copied. It's uniquely yours. It's the combination of your pain, your persistence, your faith, and your fire. No one else can understand how much it costs you to build that energy, and no one else has the right to dilute it. A woman who guards her source becomes unshakable. Because while others rely on external validation, compliments, attention, or recognition, she relies on something deeper. Her fuel doesn't come from the world. It comes from within. So when people withdraw their support, when circumstances shift, when things fall apart, she remains. Because her strength was never dependent on anything temporary. It was built from something eternal inside her. That's why she can lose everything and still rise again. Because she never lost herself. You'll know a woman who protects her source by the way she moves. She doesn't gossip, she doesn't compete, and she doesn't explain her choices. She's not easily provoked because she's connected to something stronger than her emotions. She doesn't need to prove she's powerful. Her peace says it for her. She doesn't talk about what keeps her going. She simply radiates it. And the people around her feel it, even if they can't name it. There's something sacred about not being completely known. When people can't see all your cards, they can't play you. When they don't know where your strength comes from, they can't manipulate it. And when they can't predict your next move, they can't interfere. That's why mystery is one of the highest forms of power. You don't owe anyone access to your mind, your heart, or your rituals of renewal. You can love deeply, connect authentically, and still keep your source sacred. A woman who hides her source is not being secretive. She's being spiritual. She's protecting the energy that keeps her alive. She's learned that the most beautiful parts of herself don't need an audience to be real. Her glow, her confidence, her serenity, they're all evidence of an inner world that no one else gets to touch. That's her temple, her sanctuary, her source. And when she guards it, she moves through life, untouchable. Because no matter what happens outside of her, she knows she can always return home, to the fire within, that no one else can ever extinguish. At the end of the day, the power of a woman doesn't come from how much she reveals. It comes from what she chooses to protect. The world will constantly pressure you to be open, to share everything, to explain yourself, to justify your strength, to expose your heart in the name of connection. But the truth is, not everyone deserves that level of access. Some things must stay yours. Your pain, your plans, your standards, your fears, your source. These are not walls. They're sacred boundaries. They are the invisible armor that allows you to move through life with grace, dignity, and power. A high-value woman understands that silence can speak louder than explanation. She knows that mystery commands more respect than exposure. She knows that the energy she protects becomes the foundation of her peace. The woman who guards her inner world isn't cold, she's wise. She isn't distant, she's disciplined. And she isn't hiding, she's preserving her divinity. There's a saying, a flower does not open to prove its beauty. It simply blooms. That's what it means to be a powerful woman. You don't chase validation. You don't over-explain. You don't reveal everything, hoping to be understood. You stay grounded in who you are. You bloom silently, confidently, and let your presence speak for itself. The most dangerous kind of woman is the one who no longer needs to be seen to feel seen, who no longer begs to be understood to know her worth, and who no longer gives away her essence just to be loved. She's the one who radiates self-respect, who moves with intention, and who understands that her power isn't in her transparency, it's in her restraint. So remember this: never apologize for your mystery. Never feel guilty for keeping parts of yourself private. Protect your energy like the rarest diamond, because that's exactly what it is. When you learn to keep what's sacred hidden, you become unbreakable. You become magnetic. You become the woman who cannot be duplicated, manipulated, or replaced. You become the woman who doesn't need to be loud to be powerful, because her silence, her calm, and her confidence speak volumes. A woman who knows what to reveal and what to guard becomes unstoppable, because she doesn't just move through the world, she glides through it, untouchable, radiant, and in complete command of her power. That is the essence of true femininity. Not in what is seen, but in what remains quietly, beautifully hidden.